Hello and welcome, amazing viewers. Get ready, because today's story is one of ambition, betrayal, and the unstoppable power of true leadership. Meet Maya Grant, the daughter of a legendary CEO. Thrust into a high-stakes battle when her father's ruthless business partner attempts a corporate takeover. But Maya isn't just an heiress, she's a fighter. With sharp strategy, unwavering integrity, and a bold vision, she refuses to let greed destroy her family's legacy. What happens next is a masterclass in resilience, outmaneuvering the enemy, and proving that real power comes from within. So sit back, buckle up, and watch Maya turn the game on its head. Maya Grant sat at the head of the sleek conference table, her fingers lightly tracing the edge of her laptop. The room was filled with an air of tension, her father's old office now a place of looming uncertainty. 3 months had passed since his unexpected death, and with it, the legacy of his beloved company was now in her hands. Despite her achievements, the board saw her as nothing more than the founder's daughter, a position she had inherited, not earned. The business was her father's life's work, and the Thompson Street project, his dream, was the company's shining jewel. But Liam Foster, her father's business partner, was biding his time, waiting for the opportunity to take control. He believed that Maya was unqualified to lead, convinced that she was merely a product of nepotism. Maya had long been underestimated, but she had a plan. Beneath the surface, she had been quietly building her own stake in the company over the years, acquiring shares, positioning herself for the moment when Liam would make his move. She knew the challenges ahead, but Maya was no stranger to adversity. As Liam began his campaign to push her out, Maya's patience was about to pay off. She would not let him erase her father's legacy or compromise the company's core values. This was not just a battle for her job, it was a fight to preserve everything her father had worked for. Maya had been taught to let others underestimate her, and now it was time for her to take control and prove that she was more than just the CEO's daughter. Maya had always trusted the board, or at least, she had trusted her father's legacy in their hands. But as she sifted through company reports one late afternoon, something didn't sit right. There were gaps in the financial records, discrepancies in the numbers that didn't add up. Initially, she thought it was simply her unfamiliarity with the workload. But as she dug deeper, the pattern became clear. Funds were being redirected. Large, unexplained expenses on first-class flights and high-end restaurants were being categorized as business meetings. At first, she brushed it off as routine expenses, but something about the frequency and nature of them seemed off. Then she discovered something that made her heart skip a beat, an email thread between Liam Foster and external buyers, talking about selling the company's shares and undervaluing the Thompson Street project, which had been her father's dream. Maya's pulse quickened as she realized Liam had been slowly working to strip the company of its most valuable assets, with plans to sell it to the highest bidder. Her father's legacy, the project her father had worked years to build, was now being treated like dead weight. This wasn't just about business, it was about something more sinister, Liam's personal ambition. The thought of him undermining her father's vision was too much to bear. But it wasn't just the shady financial dealings that disturbed Maya, it was the sheer arrogance with which Liam had carried out his plan. As she scanned the emails, Maya noticed his dismissive attitude toward the company's sustainability programs her father had been deeply passionate about. To him, they were nothing more than obstacles to short-term profits. A chilling realization washed over Maya. Liam was planning to sell the company's soul, all for a quick payout. He was making deals with external investors who had no interest in the company's long-term vision, let alone its commitment to sustainability and community impact. He wanted to turn the company into a traditional, profit-driven enterprise with no regard for its roots. Maya sat back in her chair, overwhelmed by the discovery, but a sense of cold determination began to take over. This was it, Liam's plan had gone from the shadows to the light. And she wasn't going to let him destroy everything her father had worked for. The final straw came when Maya found the minutes of a recent board meeting, where the members had agreed, without her knowledge, to begin dismantling the Thompson Street project. The sale was imminent. Her hands shook with fury as she realized that her father's most cherished dream was now on the chopping block. As she stared at the screen, Maya's mind began to race. She had been patient, playing the role of the unassuming daughter. But this was her breaking point. Liam and the board had grossly underestimated her. Maya's father had always taught her to bide her time, to be patient, and to let people assume what they wanted. But now it was time for action. With this discovery, everything had changed. She would fight for the company, for her father's dream, and for the values that had made it what it was. But she knew she couldn't do it alone. Maya picked up the phone, ready to initiate the first step in her counteroffensive, knowing that this would be a battle of wills and strategy, one she couldn't afford to lose. As Maya continued her investigation into the company's financial records, the full scale of Liam's manipulation began to unfold. At first, the discrepancies seemed minor, but with each new document, the pattern became clearer. Liam had been subtly redirecting resources, prioritizing quick profits over the company's core mission. He had instructed certain departments to cut corners in production, selling off valuable assets under the guise of cost-saving measures, all while inflating the company's profitability for his own gain. The cuts were especially noticeable in the sustainability programs, which Maya's father had personally championed. Richard, one of the board members, had been directly involved in approving several of Liam's questionable decisions. Maya could now see that the board was not just passive, they were complicit. 2. With each signature on questionable contracts and agreements, they had tacitly allowed Liam to manipulate them, undermining her authority from the start. But the most damning discovery came when Maya unearthed a series of clandestine meetings between Liam and a group of investors. She had suspected that Liam was in talks with potential buyers for the company. But these meetings were far more damaging than she had imagined. These were not discussions about minor company adjustments. These were plans to sell the company to a massive conglomerate that had no interest in maintaining the company's values. The investors viewed the Thompson Street project as a liability, not a community building opportunity. They wanted to tear it down, sell the land, and transform it into high-end luxury units, an idea that completely contradicted her father's vision. As Maya reviewed the documents and emails, she found that Liam had been making backdoor deals with these investors, even arranging for the company to be sold at a fraction of its true value. These were not isolated transactions, they were part of a calculated, ongoing effort to push Maya out and assume control. Liam had manipulated the board into thinking he was the savior of the company, the one who could streamline operations and maximize profits. He had painted her as the naive, privileged daughter, incapable of making hard decisions for the company. And while he had played this game of corporate chess, Maya had remained on the sidelines, learning the company's operations from the ground up. But all the while watching, her father had taught her well. Now, it was her turn to play. The manipulation didn't stop there. As Maya continued to sift through the records, she uncovered disturbing patterns in client accounts. Liam had been giving preferential treatment to certain clients, signing exclusive deals that benefited him personally, without the company's best interest in mind. These clients, mostly from industries that opposed the company's eco-friendly stance, were receiving major discounts on products, while loyal customers who supported the company's values were being neglected. Maya knew she had to act fast. This kind of corporate manipulation could cripple the company's reputation and destroy everything her father had worked for. Her suspicions about Ava's role were also confirmed. Ava had been feeding Liam inside information about Maya's decisions, acting as his eyes and ears in the company. The young assistant had been involved in securing Liam's shady deals and helping him cover up the growing list of ethical violations. Maya gathered all the evidence she needed: financial records, email threads, recorded meetings, and even surveillance footage of Liam's secretive dinners with investors. She knew it would take more than just exposing these misdeeds to take down Liam. She would need to orchestrate a strategic response that would bring the company back under her control. And she couldn't do it alone. The time had come to act. As she watched Liam's every move, Maya knew that she was preparing for the final confrontation, the one that would decide the future of the company and reveal who was truly capable of leading it. The manipulation was unraveling, and the pieces were falling into place. Maya was ready. Maya sat at her desk, reviewing the evidence she had collected over the past few weeks, an overwhelming mountain of data that painted a vivid picture of Liam's greed and manipulation. She had methodically tracked every transaction, every covert meeting, and every false justification Liam had made for his actions. It was time to put her plan into motion. She had already anticipated that the board would be difficult to sway. But her father had always told her that the most important thing in business was to understand the system from within and, when the time was right, strike with precision. The first step of her plan was to solidify her position in the company. Despite the board's underestimation of her, Maya had been quietly building her stake in the company for over a decade. Every bonus, every commission, and every investment opportunity that came her way had been carefully used to acquire shares through various shell companies. Maya now controlled 70% of the company's shares, not through inheritance or her father's gifts, but through her own careful acquisitions. She knew that this would be the leverage she needed to challenge Liam and the board at the upcoming shareholders' meeting. While the board believed they had succeeded in pushing her out, they had no idea of the power Maya wielded behind the scenes. Her next step was to prepare her legal defense. Maya had already consulted with her lead counsel, Marcus, one of the best business lawyers in the city. Marcus was stunned when Maya revealed the depth of the financial manipulation she had uncovered. Together, they began preparing a legal strategy that would not only expose Liam's and the board's financial misconduct but also hold them accountable for their unethical actions. Maya's lawyers would gather every piece of evidence, from fraudulent financial transactions to violations of company policy, that would allow her to take control. She needed a solid case to present to the shareholders and, if necessary, the media. In parallel, Maya reached out to some of the company's biggest clients, particularly those who shared her father's vision for sustainability and community engagement. Many of these clients were women in positions of power who had experienced their own struggles in male-dominated industries. They understood what it was like to be underestimated and ignored, just as Maya had been. These clients were also connected to several other businesses that aligned with the company's core values. Maya began to quietly inform them of the potential changes coming to the company, knowing that if Liam succeeded in his takeover, it would affect their partnerships as well. One of the most important clients, Victoria Chen, the CEO of a large tech company that had been working with Maya's company for years, was quick to lend her support. When Maya reached out to her, Victoria immediately understood the gravity of the situation and pledged her full support in backing Maya at the shareholders' meeting. Victoria was ready to help Maya transition the contracts to her company if necessary. As a way of putting pressure on the board, Maya was starting to see her strategy come together. With her legal and financial plans in place, the next critical part of her plan was to expose Liam's manipulations to the board. But Maya couldn't do this alone. She needed to be strategic, choosing the right moment and gathering the right allies. To do this, she needed to put herself in the most powerful position possible. Maya had been working closely with Rachel, her assistant, and her father's former assistant, who was one of the few people who truly understood Maya's vision for the company. Rachel had been discreetly helping her collect evidence, organize meetings, and monitor the behavior of the board and Liam. With Rachel's help, Maya was able to organize all the documentation she needed for her strategy, the financial audit, the emails exposing Liam's deals, the contracts signed without proper board oversight, and the key client accounts that had been manipulated. Once the board saw how deeply they had been misled and how much money they stood to lose, Maya knew they would be forced to listen. While she was planning her legal moves, Maya also worked behind the scenes to secure the Thompson Street project. This had always been her father's most cherished initiative, affordable housing for lower-income families. Integrated with community services, she refused to let Liam and the board destroy it. Maya arranged meetings with local government officials, community leaders, and activists who had supported the project, reaffirming their commitment to its success. She knew that if she could rally enough public support and secure the backing of influential figures in the community, Liam's attempts to dismantle the project would be thwarted. The project would continue as planned, but it would be under her leadership, not Liam's. Maya was also preparing for the moment of confrontation. She had long since outgrown her initial fear of public speaking, and now, she was ready to face Liam and the board with the confidence of someone who had earned their place. She knew that when the time came to present her case, She would not only expose Liam's fraud but also take back control of the company. Maya carefully drafted her speech for the shareholders' meeting, making sure to hit all the points that would show how Liam had manipulated the board, disregarded company policies, and betrayed the company's core values. Maya's plan wasn't just about taking control, it was about restoring the company's integrity, its focus on sustainability, and its commitment to the community. The final part of her plan was to reclaim the company and make it stronger than ever. Maya knew this wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to fight for what her father had worked so hard to build. She had learned from the best, and now, it was her turn to lead. As she finalized the documents for the shareholder meeting, Maya could feel the weight of her decision. The time had come to put her plan into action. The company, her father's legacy, and her future were all on the line. She wasn't just going to let them take it away. The day of the shareholder meeting arrived, and Maya walked into the boardroom with a quiet, confident determination. The air was thick with tension as the board members, all unaware of her secret stake in the company, waited for her to make her move. Liam Foster, his smug smile firmly in place, greeted her with a nod. But his expression faltered when Maya took her father's old seat at the head of the table. "Sarah, we need to talk about this audit. There must be some mistake," Liam said, attempting to regain control of the situation. Maya didn't flinch. "No mistake, Liam," she replied coolly, her voice carrying clearly across the room. "I own 70% of this company. Not through inheritance, but through years of careful acquisition." Shocked silence followed her words, and Liam's face drained of color as realization sank in. The board members shifted uncomfortably, scrambling to understand what was happening. Maya continued, laying out the evidence she had so carefully gathered: Liam's covert meetings with external investors, the manipulation of company funds, the undermining of sustainability initiatives, and his attempt to devalue the Thompson Street project. She presented emails, financial records, and the audit results that exposed the extent of his dishonesty. "The board's recent actions," Maya said, "have violated numerous ethical and company policies, and I have documentation to prove it. You've been manipulating the company's financials for your own gain, and it stops now." Liam tried to interject, but Maya raised her hand, silencing him. "The company will no longer stand for this behavior. I am suspending the entire board pending a full investigation into these violations, effective immediately. We're moving forward with a new leadership team, one chosen for their integrity, not their ability to play politics." Her words were firm, and the board members who had once sided with Liam now looked uneasy, their bravado replaced with panic. As security entered the room to escort the board members out, Liam stood up, his hands shaking with disbelief. "You can't do this," he shouted. "I'm the one who made this company profitable." Maya looked him dead in the eyes. "You've made it profitable for yourself, Liam, not for the company. It's over." One by one, the board members filed out, leaving Liam standing there, visibly crushed. Maya had taken control, and Liam's reign of manipulation was finished. She had proven that her father's legacy was not just about running a successful business, but about doing so with honor and integrity. As soon as the board members had been escorted out, Maya immediately began to implement her strategy to restore the company and regain its integrity. The first order of business was to ensure that the damage Liam had caused, both financially and ethically, was reversed. Maya instructed her legal team to begin a full internal audit of the company's books, including the questionable transactions, unauthorized expenses, and any breaches of company policy that Liam and the board had ignored. The team worked tirelessly to recover misallocated funds and identify any further corruption that may have been hidden. Maya also put a stop to the sale of the Thompson Street project, which Liam had been trying to dismantle for months. She knew her father's dream had to be protected at all costs. So she contacted the local government officials and community leaders who had supported the project, ensuring them that it would continue as planned, with even more ambitious goals. She personally promised that the affordable housing initiative would be expanded, and that it would stay true to the core values her father had worked so hard to establish. With the company's financials being cleaned up, Maya shifted her focus to the employees. Richard's mass layoffs had left the company's morale in shambles, and Maya knew that rebuilding trust with the team would be critical for the company's success. She announced the reinstatement of many of the employees who had been wrongfully terminated, and they would receive back pay for the time they had been let go. Additionally, she created a new employee-focused initiative aimed at fostering a more inclusive and ethical workplace, making it clear that she would never allow the toxic culture Liam had fostered to return. Maya's new vision for the company was one that placed sustainability and community at its core. She began working closely with the heads of key client accounts, many of whom had expressed concern over Liam's push for profit over values. Maya reassured them that under her leadership, the company would not only maintain its commitment to environmental responsibility but would grow even more as a trusted partner in their industries. Her transparency and willingness to make bold decisions earned her respect, and soon, clients who had been quietly considering other options began reaffirming their contracts with her company. Maya's phone never stopped ringing as the positive momentum continued to build. The more she made clear her commitment to sustainable practices, the more the company attracted attention from investors and clients who shared her vision. Her longtime allies in the business world, especially Victoria Chen, the CEO of a major tech company, reached out to offer their support and explore new partnership opportunities. They were not just interested in keeping contracts alive, they were willing to expand. Seeing the value in Maya's long-term plans, the company was growing stronger, and the stock prices were starting to reflect that. By the time the first major announcement about the company's recovery was made, the public was eager to hear about Maya's vision for the future. It was no longer about defending her father's legacy, it was about shaping the company's future, one that embraced both profitability and social responsibility. On the day the new board was installed, one that Maya had personally chosen, made up of executives with proven integrity, she stood at the front of the room, proud of the decisions she had made. Each new appointment was a carefully considered move, one that would help her steer the company towards sustainable growth while rejecting the exploitation that had plagued its past. But Maya didn't stop there. Knowing that external perceptions of her leadership were just as important as internal changes, she reached out to the media to discuss the company's transformation. She gave interviews that showcased her vision for the future, explaining that the company would not only continue its legacy of providing quality, sustainable products but would also expand into new markets that prioritized eco-friendly practices. The public, especially younger generations, began to take notice. Maya's commitment to transparency and her hands-on approach was earning her praise as a leader who was both visionary and ethical. Even with the success of her strategy so far, Maya knew there was still more to be done. Richard's influence wasn't easily erased. There were still shadowy figures from his old network trying to take advantage of the company's growing pains, and Maya had to ensure that every potential threat was eliminated. She also began reaching out to new partners, strengthening her network and fortifying the company's position in the market. Every move she made was part of a broader strategy to make sure that her father's legacy not only survived but thrived. Maya wasn't just restoring the company, she was preparing it for a bright, sustainable future, one where integrity, responsibility, and community would always come first. Months after Maya's takeover, the transformation of the company was undeniable. Under her leadership, the company shifted from a business driven by profit at any cost to one focused on sustainability, community impact, and ethical growth. The Thompson Street project, which had once been on the verge of collapse, was now thriving, expanding to include new affordable housing units and a community center that provided job training and childcare for local families. Maya's unwavering commitment to her father's dream had restored the project to its rightful place at the heart of the company's mission. The company's financials were now in pristine condition, with profits soaring as key clients, many of whom had been hesitant during the tumultuous period, signed long-term contracts. Employee satisfaction was at an all-time high, thanks to Maya's reinstatement of terminated staff and her focus on creating a workplace that valued integrity and inclusivity. Maya had not only reclaimed control of the company but had also proven her vision was far stronger than the manipulation of her detractors. Richard and the board members who had once tried to push her out were facing the consequences of their actions. Richard, now under investigation for his financial misconduct, was publicly disgraced, and his former allies were being replaced by individuals who shared Maya's values. At her father's grave, Maya reflected on how far she had come, from being dismissed as the CEO's daughter, to leading a company that embodied the values she held dear. The press release about her leadership and the company's success made waves. And Maya's story became a symbol of perseverance and integrity. With the future bright, Maya knew this was only the beginning. The story teaches that true leadership comes not from titles or inheritance, but from hard work, integrity, and a clear vision. Maya's journey proves that patience and strategic thinking can turn adversity into opportunity. By quietly preparing for the right moment and staying true to her values, she was able to reclaim control and transform her father's company for the better. The lesson is clear: being underestimated can be a powerful advantage. And the greatest revenge isn't in seeking payback, it's in building something meaningful, staying true to your principles, and letting your success speak for itself.